front is a wall of bars, but within the bars, at a distance greater than the human reach, is a second barrier, a stout nylon stretch from the floor to ceiling and wall to wall. Behind the net, Starling could see a table bolted to the floor and piled high with softcover books and paper, and a straight chair also fastened down. Dr. Hannibal Lecter reclined himself on his bunk, pursuing the Italian edition of Vogue. He held the loose pages in his right hand and put them beside him one by one with his left. Dr. Lecter has 6 fingers on his left hand. Clarice stopped a little distance from the bars about the length of a small foyer. Dr. Lecter, her voice sounded all right to her. He looked up from his reading. For a steep second she thought his gaze hummed, but it was only her blood she heard. "My name is Clarice Starling. May I talk with you?" Courtesy was implicit in her distance and her tone. Dr. Lecter considered, his finger pressed against his pursed lips. Then he rose in his own time and came forward smoothly in his cage, stopping short of the nylon web without looking at it as though he chose the distance. She could see that he was small, sleek in his hands and arms. She saw wiry strength like her own. "Good morning," he said, as though he had answered the door. His cultured voice has a slight metallic rasp beneath it, possibly from disuse. Dr. Lecter's eyes are maroon, and they reflected the light in pinpoints of red. Sometimes the points of light seemed to fly like sparks to his center. His eyes held Starling whole. She came a measured distance closer to the bars. The hair on her forearms rose and pressed against her sleeves. "Doctor, we have a hard problem in psychological profiling. I want to ask you for your help. We're being behavioral science at Quantico. You're one of Jack Crawford's, I expect." "Yes, I am." "May I see your credentials?" She hadn't expected this. "I showed them at the office." "You mean you showed them to Frederick Children, Ph.D.?" "Yes. Did you see his credentials?" "No." "The academic ones don't make extensive reading, I can tell you. Did you meet Alan? Isn't he charming?" "Which of them had you rather talk with?" "On the whole, I'd say Alan. You could be a reporter Chilton let in for money. I think I'm entitled to see your credentials." "All right." She held up her laminated ID card. "I can't read it at this distance. Send it through, please." "I can't." "Because it's hard." "Yes, ask Barney." The orderly came and considered. "Dr. Lecter, I'll let this come through, but if you don't return it when I ask you to, if we have to bother everybody and secure you to get it, then I'll be upset. If you upset me, you'll have to stay bundled up until I feel better towards you. Mails through the tube, dignity pants changed twice a day, the works, and I'll hold your mail for a week. Got it?" "Certainly, Barney." The card rolled through on the tray, and Dr. Lecter held it to the light. "A trainee. It says trainee. Jack Crawford sent a trainee to interview me." He tapped the card against his small white teeth and breathed in its smell. "Dr. Lecter," Barney said. "Of course." He put the card back in the tray carrier, and Barney pulled it to the outside. "I'm still in training at the academy." "Yes," Starling said, "but we're not discussing the FBI. We're talking about psychology. Can you decide for yourself if I'm qualified in what we talk about?" Dr. Lecter said, "Actually, that's rather slippery of you. Barney, do you think Officer Starling might have a chair?" "Dr. Chilton didn't tell me anything about a chair." "What do your manners tell you, Barney?" "Would you like a chair?" Barney asked her. "We could have had one, but he never, well, usually nobody needs to stay that long." "Yes, thank you," Starling said. Barney brought a folding chair from